Hi, how are you going?
Perfect, and you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I recently had an experience where I smoked DMT.
All right.
And it was 6 months ago, and I had no idea what I was actually doing. A friend of mine said, just trust me, you'll have the best experience of your life.
And was your friend correct?
No.
Oh, all right.
It was, for the first part of it, had the worst experience of my life.
Define.
Terror.
Terror.
Absolute.
That sounds exciting.
It was, I guess, a version of that.
All right. What was terrifying? What specifically frightened you?
I experienced my own death a number of times.
Isn't that exciting?
I don't know.
Do you fear death now, that you now have died and are still alive? Did you lose your fear of death by going through that death so many times?
When I first came out of the DMT, no.
But
I couldn't make sense of anything.
But now?
No.
You have not lost your fear of death. Do you fear to die?
I don't think I do anymore, no.
Well, that's what I said. And you said no.
But when I've come back here, I've experienced my mind is foggy. I have lost direction.
That is not because of the DMT.
What is that from?
It is from what you were afraid to face about yourself during the experience, and still to some degree hesitate to incorporate and integrate within your understanding of your total being. Because you see, the DMT does not last in your body. It is automatically and immediately absorbed because it is a natural element produced by your pineal gland all the time. In fact, it's the reason why you dream and go to other dimensions of reality. But being given that same experience to such a strong degree before you were really ready to understand what was happening didn't allow you to integrate the experience in an appropriate way. But the DMT itself, in that sense, didn't cause it. It simply opened up a doorway that was in some ways more than you believed you were capable of handling about the recognitions that were coming to you during that experience. But you are all right.
So there's no permanent damage, nothing?
No.
Like that.
It's all about the resonances, like the ringing and the echo of a bell once rung that you are simply experiencing now because that bell was very loud and you're still experiencing some of the echoes of what that bell put you in touch with. And you need to face those aspects of your consciousness and integrate those beliefs within yourself about your relationship to life, to death, and to yourself, and to your creative powers. Are you acting on your highest excitement in life? Hesitation usually means no.
Yes.
Are you just agreeing with me, or are you answering yes?
No, I had a business that I was wanting to be my higher excitement, but a partnership didn't work out.
All right, and now what are you doing?
Well, I'm in confusion, period.
And again, very exciting. But again, remember, when we talk about the idea of following your excitement, we don't necessarily mean it has to come immediately in the form of a lifelong project, a job, or a career. We simply mean at any given moment you have things that make themselves available to you that contain more excitement than something else and the ability to act upon them. That's all you need to do, is continue to do that. If you cannot see something that spans many years, at least act on what excites you the most in the next moment, and the next moment after that, and the next moment after that, and the next moment after that. And that's all you have to do to get back on track. And that excitement, like a thread, will lead you to more and more excitement that can eventually expand into something that can fill more time in your life. But you have to take some action. You have to take some steps. What is your trepidation?
Well, I guess it's some of my internal belief systems.
About what?
Well, I first of all realized I was hanging on to stories instead of facing a fear that I'm scared to do what I really wanted to do.
All right, well, thank you for that realization. And now that you've had that realization, are you still scared to be your true self and take action on your highest excitement? It's all right to say yes if you are.
Well, the thing is, I get confused over whether that is my highest excitement.
But you see, all you have to do is take some action on that direction. And if it really isn't representative of your highest excitement, it will show you very clearly that it is not. Remember that sometimes on your planet, people gain great clarity about who they are by actually taking a step in the direction of who they are not. So they can make the comparison and know for certain that that's who they are not, and thus then paint a clearer picture of who they are. So it all works out in the end anyway. If you treat it that way, if you approach it that way, it will all serve you. Because remember, excitement is the organizing principle in your life as well as the driving engine of your life. So even if there are things that seem exciting and they turn out not to be, or they could be exciting, but it's not the one you need to act on at this particular moment, the circumstances of taking that action will turn around in such a way as to show you what direction to move in if you're willing and open to use that experience in that way and define it as part of your path instead of an interruption in it or somehow a dead end. Make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Are you willing to use it that way?
Yes, I am.
Then we thank you.
We thank
and you
you.
will apply your experience in that sense in a more positive way.
Yeah, thank you. I have, my girlfriend is here also, and she's having a lot of trouble sleeping.
Oh, all right.
And I'd like
Maybe she is sleeping at an incorrect and inappropriate time for her biocycle. Many people on your planet do force themselves to be awake when they ought to be asleep and be asleep when they ought to be awake. Sometimes there is a more natural cycle than the one that society has imposed upon you. And if you are following your highest excitement and doing the things that are truly representative of your creativity, your natural cycle can reveal itself to you. And then you can find out when exactly it is that you require sleep and when exactly it is that you are required to be awake.
Is there anything else? She's in this room.
Yes.
Do you feel there's anything else that she, besides finding that rhythm?
Is there anything else? We are asking her.
What if I have bad dreams, like I deal with bad dreams?
Define bad dreams.
I just wake up with a lot of fear.
So you are afraid to sleep.
I guess on some level I am.
All right. I can guarantee you this. Nothing in that will harm you. All you need to do is ask for assistance with this, but you must also be willing to face what it is the dream is attempting to tell you about the fears you're holding on to that don't serve you. You understand? Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
Are you willing to act on your highest joy in life without fear? Or are you afraid that if you actually allow yourself to be who you wish to be, that something dreadful will happen to you? Oh, that was a heavy question.
I want to be my highest self.
Will you like to come up and talk about this?
Hi.
And so, what do you fear about being yourself? What do you fear? What is the worst thing you fear will happen? You see, this is one way to get a handle on your fear, is not keep it down, not suppress it, but actually give it full rein. Use your imagination. Let it go all the way. What is the worst possible thing, the most fearful thing you imagine might happen if you truly allowed yourself to be who you wish to be? Go ahead. What's the worst thing that might happen? Come on, use your imagination.
Rejection.
Rejection by whom?
I don't even know.
If you don't even know, then why do you care?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't even know, why do you care? But perhaps you do know. Are you fibbing?
No.
Oh, all right.
I just...
Then rejection by whom?
Maybe the people I love most.
Maybe the people you love most. If you love these people the most, and they choose to behave in a manner that expresses the idea of rejection, do you not understand that that rejection is just a projection on their part of the parts of themselves they do not love? That
Yeah.
they see reflected in you.
Yeah.
You see, when individuals truly be themselves, sometimes when they reflect that true self to individuals who are afraid to be them true selves, those individuals will resent it. They'll resent having their face put in that idea. And thus then they will reject you to keep themselves safe. So you can have compassion for them if they reject you, because you can understand the rejection is a projection to keep you away so that they are not forced to face their own fears. But if you know that, then you can simply have compassion for them.
Right.
Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
This is how to label these things in such a manner that works for you.
Okay.
Does this help?
Yes, it does.
In understanding this, do you feel a little bit more inclined to be your true self?
Yes. What are some ways I can really get there quicker and faster and tap into
By
that?
being your true self every moment that you can. By acting on your highest excitement every moment that you can. By acting on it to the best of your ability and taking it as far as you can with absolutely no expectation of how it should result.
Right. No.
Just because that's the vibration you prefer is the only reason to act on your highest joy. Not because of what you think it will get you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So if you just do that every day, every moment of every day, you'll be doing exactly what you need to do, and there's nothing else you need to do. That's it. It's that simple. To be your true self, all you have to do is take the action on the things that contain the vibration of your true self. That's called excitement, passion, joy, love, creativity.
And what if at the moment you're confused?
Then
with
you're
the things
confused.
you
Enjoy
love?
your confusion.
Right.
Label it as something positive. Remember, co-fusion. You're connecting, you're exploring, you're examining different, apparently opposite or incompatible ideas, but that's all right. That's an exploration unto itself. You're defining yourself, you're guiding yourself. It's an opportunity to redefine yourself. And isn't that a positive thing?
Yes.
Then the sooner you define that confusion in a positive way, you won't experience it as confusion. You'll experience it as co-fusion. In the same way we said, the sooner you define the idea of going inside in a positive way, you won't experience it as depression, you'll experience it as compression, a very natural creative state. You just have to start using your imagination to define these things in a way that works for you instead of continuing to accept other people's definitions for things that don't work for you. You understand?
Yeah.
Does this help you?
Yes.
Do you feel freer in this conversation?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that's changed is the definitions.
Right.
So when you change your definitions to ones that are more aligned with your true self, you will feel freer and you'll know how to behave and you'll know how to act and you will take action on those things that allow you to feel more free, that are expressions of your freedom. And it won't matter what anyone else thinks, because you will understand that if you are really doing the best you can, and if you're really staying aligned with your highest vibration out of unconditional love for yourself, then you will be acting as an example for others. And if they reject you, it's just an opportunity for them to be as strong, be as brave, be as courageous, and see in you an example to get in touch with those things within themselves that could also allow them to experience a life of joy as you also have chosen. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And that's the most loving thing you can do for them.
Got it.
Does that help you?
Yes. Thank you.
Then sweet dreams to you.
Thank you.
At this timing, we will allow you to take a very short break. We will resume this transmission to guide you through a meditation with your holotope experience.
Good to you. Going back to the questions about dreams,
Yes.
I've been experiencing very vivid dreams most of my life.
Yes.
Very picturesque, very much details, and I remember.
All
them.
right. How exciting.
I know. I love it. I think that's great. Recently, I would say probably in the past couple of years, I've been experiencing very similar dreams, but there's always one particular, call it sidekick, element, person, creature. I'm not really sure.
Yes.
That whereas everything is clear, it's always very cloudy, very foggy.
Yes.
I feel connected to it. I
Yes.
feel a relationship with this particular
Yes.
creature.
Yes.
But I'm never able to visualize it. It will slowly let me see some parts of it, but I can
Yes.
never get a clear image of it.
And what makes you think there's something wrong with that process?
Well, I guess I don't think there's something wrong per se, but I'm just curious to maybe know, am I holding myself back
No.
in the understanding
No.
of it?
No.
Is it,
No.
Okay.
You're being given as much as is appropriate to give to you, as much as you need to know at any given moment. It'll keep going. It'll keep expanding. It'll get clearer. You have to trust the timing.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Yes?
Perfect. Makes sense.
Anything else?
Yeah, sure. As far as it kind of sparked my interest when you started talking about the Mayans and I guess previous
The Maya.
culture, Maya. One of the questions I have is back in Italy, one of the major populations that is extinct now was the Etruscans.
Yes.
And there's in some of the I guess the records that we have, they do indicate interactions with extraterrestrials.
Yes. From time to time, they had them.
Okay, so I guess my question is, were they just exposed to extraterrestrials, or did they have any connections with it? Are they involved?
You all have connections, but yes, in terms of your classic idea of interactions in physical reality, now and then they experienced interactions and contact with different forms of extraterrestrials.
My next question is, before we fall asleep,
Yes.
can we ask to meet or together with the energy of our prior past lives? In other words, are there
They're
steps?
not prior. They exist right now, so of course you can connect.
Okay.
Everything exists right now. There's no such thing as the past. There's no such thing as the future. That's illusion. What you call past and future are simply different parallel realities that you consider to be the past or the future from your particular space-time perspective. But they all exist right now. That's why you can connect to them. If they actually were in the past, you'd never be able to do so.
Understood. And so that would tie in also with family members or friends that might have passed away.
Whomever.
Got it. Perfect. And then my next question is, if the goal is to raise or increase our vibration, will there ever come a time in this life, in which we can master the tuning of our frequencies, much like we would change the radio dial?
Yes.
Okay.
And many people on your planet can already do so. You already have certain kinds of teachers and masters who have that kind of control, do you not? Shamans and so on and so forth.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, of course, the potential exists within all of you. And the secret is, you're all doing it all the time. It's not that you have to learn to do it. You have to learn to become more aware of the fact that you're already doing it. That's the secret.
Okay.
Because you're shifting billions of times per second through billions of parallel realities per second. So you're already changing completely, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. All you have to do is let your mind catch up to the fact that that's already going on, and the world will explode before you into a magical experience.
Understood. Okay.
Does that help?
Yep, it does.
And
Thank you.
thank you. You're welcome.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. I'd like your advice.
Oh, all right. The doctor is in.
Good. I grew up with not knowing who my parents were,
Oh, all right.
and I've recently found my mother.
Yes.
I'd like to find my father.
Go right ahead.
I'd like to know how to go about doing that.
Check the records of certain family organizations in your area called Wisconsin.
Okay.
See what happens.
All right.
See where that leads you.
Okay. I'll do that.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Happy hunting.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me this evening.
All right, and to you, good day.
Thank you. With having to do with dreams, for as long as I can remember, I'll wake up just really scared. Sometimes I'll be screaming or hyperventilating or
How exciting for you.
just crying
Yes.
very scared. And
Do you feel out of control?
yes, and I won't even be able to remember at all what I've dreamt about.
Do you understand the idea of what we have termed the hybridization agenda?
Not really.
Do you understand the term alien abduction?
Yes.
You're part of it.
Can you explain more to me, like in what aspect?
Well, you have agreed on a certain level of spirituality to participate in the evolutionary program of the Earth, where beings from a parallel reality that you call the Greys will usually take people such as yourself aboard their ships and extract DNA material, genetic material, to create a hybrid species that will allow their particular culture to continue, because they pretty much destroyed their own culture and need viable human DNA to continue their society. They have created many forms of hybrids. You are part of that program in terms of donating your particular genetic material to the creation of many different forms of hybrid beings. But the idea is that this has been going on for quite some time, but you've never really been given the tools to understand that from another level you made an agreement to do this. And so anytime that these beings come and take you from where you are aboard their ships or shift you into a different reality, you feel out of control because you don't really know what's going on, or your physical mind is simply in the dark. But there's really nothing to be afraid of. You can actually ask for more awareness of what is going on so that you can have these experiences with more consciousness and on your own terms.
That actually reminded me of, I was at the Contact in the Desert in Joshua Tree. Yes. And you had mentioned that because of the higher frequency levels that we might feel afraid.
Yes.
And I actually, right around the time, I believe it was like 12 or 1 o'clock, that you had said that to expect something.
Yes.
I became very afraid, just terrified, the most afraid I've ever been in my life. I just wanted to leave. I told my boyfriend, like, forget our stuff, just leave our stuff. We have to go. Like,
yes.
And
this is one of the reasons why we don't have open contact with all of you yet. Because the idea is as follows. Now, certain beings this doesn't happen with. Especially doesn't really happen with the Greys exactly, although there's a form of it. Remember that your body has a form of its own consciousness. And one of the things that is very strong in the human body is the idea of a survival mechanism. The fight or flight mechanism. When it senses something that may be, in appearance, something that can threaten your survival. The energy of many extraterrestrial beings, including our own, is on a much, much higher frequency than yours, because many of you are compartmentalized, fragmented within your consciousness. You're not coherent, you're not integrated, so your frequency is relatively low compared to ours. When you believe or feel the greater field of energy that we possess coming into contact with your fragmented field, it tends to force certain things to the surface that you haven't integrated within yourself yet, and that can cause a fear, fight or flight reaction, a survival mode reaction in your body that makes you run.
Yeah, and it was strange. We just went like right down the street, like maybe not even a mile away from the actual campsite we were at, and then I felt much better, and it sounds strange, but I felt like I had a positive experience. I got a lot of information.
You did, especially knowing that energy showed you that you're still unconsciously holding on to certain ideas and definitions and beliefs that don't allow you to fully release and be yourself and be free to have the experience in a more positive way. So it's about examining the idea of what you're really afraid of and letting those things go so that you can be more of yourself and raise your frequency. Know that you're in control of this. Know that you made an agreement and that you can, again, participate in this on your own terms with more conscious control and awareness. But that process is going to take as long as you're willing to allow it to take. Yet, again, you are willing to see that you have learned something. So that's a step in the positive direction.
Okay.
Yes?
Another thing. I used to be very confident in myself.
You're still confident. It's just that you're now confident about your lack of confidence. I'm serious. You cannot be not confident. That's not possible. You're always confident about something. It's just that now your belief systems are revealing themselves to show you that one of the things you are most confident about is that you lack confidence. But you're confident about that, so you don't lack confidence. There's the paradox for you to play with.
Thank you.
It's about learning to be confident in what you prefer. You don't have to learn to be confident. You're already confident. Just be confident in what you prefer to be confident about instead of what you don't prefer to be confident about, such as lacking confidence, which is not possible. There's no such thing as a lack of confidence. There's no such thing as a lack of trust. There's no such thing as a lack of control. Because when you experience being out of control, you're controlling that. When you feel like you don't trust, you trust that to be true.
Thank you. Okay, and then sorry to like go back about Joshua Tree and I guess also the Greys that
Yes.
I had an idea about the Greys that just kind of had come to me at one
Yes.
point that
Yes.
in a parallel reality or what we
Yes.
would call the future, it was us, like specifically our planet that we wanted to travel or whatever, and that's why, and we became kind of like biomechanics, or like we did something to
It's a
ourselves.
parallel Earth, and on that Earth, the advancements disconnected them in a mental way from their nature, and they destroyed their environment in the same similar way that you are destroying yours. They had to mutate themselves from human into gray in order to survive, but still realized they were going to die out if they didn't find a source of viable human DNA to continue their civilization by creating hybrids. So they used their advanced technology to tunnel through parallel realities such as yours to find DNA they could use to create hybrid beings like ourselves and others, so that they could not only continue their particular society, but so that we could also recognize the same patterns in your society and share this information with you, so you don't have to walk down the same destructive path.
Okay, and then I don't know if it's related to that or the fact that you said that I've been abducted.
Yes.
But sometimes
That's just a word that a lot of you use. You have
Thank
simply been invited to participate.
I understand, but there's been circumstances where my boyfriend and I, and even at first he was like, where I felt like I'm being watched, and even where he didn't necessarily believe me, and he's even seen things that have caused him to believe me.
Yes.
And so that is.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Okay, I guess that's.
So now you know that's happening. So you can have more conscious awareness and more conscious control of your participation in it, if you're willing to. But there's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay, and then this is the last thing.
Yes.
After Joshua Tree, for about 2 weeks after that late at night, I would hear a very, I can't describe it any other way than an alien noise. It's like almost what you would expect to hear from like a sci-fi movie, like the noise that they play anyway, that I would hear that, and I would see like a blue light, or like a light that that's not coming from any source.
Yes.
And
well, it is coming from a source. It's just that it's coming from an interdimensional source.
A source that I can't. Even at one point, I had woken up.
Yes.
And when I awoke, it was the best way I can describe it is like the Agent Orange thing, where they have like somebody's like eyes pried open and they show all these pictures, like.
Yes.
And so that's the kind of what I experienced, like just a bunch of pictures flashing in my head.
You have been shown many pictures telepathically about the possibility of your world going down the same path as the Greys.
And it ended on I want to say a silhouette of a very tall, thin man, but what it was it was black, and the man was the light.
Yes, but you were looking at the mantis.
So it's a mantis?
What people on your planet refer to as the Mantis Beings are the ones in charge of the hybridization agenda over the Greys. They bear a resemblance to the praying mantis insect on your planet, so are basically very tall and thin.
Okay.
Now, do you understand? Do you understand that you have hybrid children?
Oh, I didn't before. I guess I do now that you've said that.
Oh, very good. But that's a story for another time for you. Right now, at this time, before you go to sleep, just take a few deep breaths and say, all right, I'm ready to understand my relationship with you, my agreement with you from a more conscious perspective, so I may participate on my own terms more openly, more clearly.
Okay.
All right? And see what happens. If you feel fear, that's all right. You can take it a step at a time and say, all right, wait a minute, let me get used to this, and then see if it passes. They will cooperate and they will work with you if you are willing to open up.
All right.
And you can do it in whatever way works for you. All right?
Okay.
Now, one moment.
Okay.
What's your favorite scent?
Oh man. Tea tree.
Is that a guess?
Well, I like essential oils. Like I like a lot of scents. Like I could
Such
think
as?
of like a favorite perfume I have.
What would be the one that would allow you to feel calm?
Yeah, probably
At
lavender.
ease? All right. Then it would probably be helpful as a permission slip for you to have that scent prominent in your room when you go to sleep, when you're asking for more conscious participation, so that you will be more at ease, knowing that you are creating, with the lavender scent, the environment that you prefer in which that exchange and encounter can occur.
All right, thank you.
So you're bringing something to the party.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You're not arriving empty-handed and going, oh no, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yes? Bring something to the party. It will help.
Okay. Sorry. I know I said the last thing was last thing, but this. An idea that I had on my own about why I was so fearful in my dream was about visiting alternate realities or alternate dimensions. And I thought, like, even one time I woke up and I had said, without even realizing what I was saying, hold on, I have to finish coming back into this reality, because people were talking to me.
Yes.
So,
because you are shifted to other realities in many of those encounters.
Oh, okay, wow. All right.
So don't worry, you won't get stuck.
All right.
You'll find your way back no matter what.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Tadeo.
Hello, Nania.
No, somebody just asked me a question here, so I think it's time for me to ask you stream questions.
All right.
So, the first question has to do with a person's dreaming. In fact, there's a lot of questions about dreams, so I'll share some of those with you. I often go into a dream space that feels like a lower astral gray ghetto, like environment.
Like I said, there is a lower astral realm that's very close to physical reality that can have a little bit of that feeling to it, which is why a lot of the idea of beings that are acting as quote-unquote ghosts or hauntings occupy that level. It is somewhat colorless, yes, because it's kind of a limbo state where they sometimes don't even know that they're dead, don't know what to do, don't know where to go, maybe caught up in certain belief systems that are negative, maybe working certain things out on that state. So yes, it does have kind of a gray pallor to it from time to time.
And he says that he has a feeling of a mission to get to a specific place to deliver something or find someone.
Yes.
And then he wakes up feeling quite heavy from these dreams.
Yes.
How is this different than the lower astral creation space you mentioned earlier?
Well, as I said, it's not different. But the idea is that you may be searching for a friend who may be a little bit lost in that particular realm, attempting to help them. But because you're taking on some of that vibration and it's so close to the physical reality, when you reconnect with physical reality, it can be like sort of bringing back extra energy that converts into mass, sort of, more densely, and that's why you feel heavy for a while, until you let it go back to the lower astral.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then this one is, when you're in deep meditation, can you experience dream world, or is it kind of the same thing as...
You can have glimpses of it, yes.
Is it the same thing as lucid dreaming?
It can be, but not always.
Like, what's the difference between astral projection and lucid dreaming?
Well, astral projection can be the result of lucid dreaming, which is simply another way of saying you understand that you're creating the dream, you're awake in the dream, and therefore can do what you wish. You can control what's going on. You can realize that you might be, classically speaking, out of your body, and therefore begin an astral journey. So lucid dreaming can be a step towards allowing you to have an experience of astral projection.
And do people visit other lifetimes in their dreams?
Oh, absolutely. But again, remember, all lives exist simultaneously. But yes, you can do that. You can have that experience. Absolutely.
What about if someone's dreaming about tsunamis?
What about it?
Does that mean it's a prediction of the future?
Not necessarily. Remember, there's no such thing. There's only a sensing of the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made, but they may be sensing a reality with a high degree of probability behind it, or they may be sensing a reality that is representative of a fear they may have from the physical level. And by sensing that and seeing what the probability is, then it's possible they may also engineer to change that particular outcome. So it just depends on what they do with that information.
And isn't water also sort of a symbol of emotionality?
It can be. So again, you have to take this on a person-by-person basis. You can't overgeneralize.
So the key is to pay attention to what's relevant for you as a person.
Yes.
Like maybe it is the idea of being overwhelmed by emotionality.
It could be.
Or it could be a prediction of the future
It
that doesn't exist.
It could be. You have to make that determination based on what it is you learn about yourself from that dream experience and how honest you are about digging into what you believe to be true about yourself.
So sometimes it's a good idea to, when you wake up in the morning, to just stay with the dream.
Absolutely. Give yourself that moment. Give yourself a few moments. Let it come back. Explore it. Find out what it means to you. Find out how it makes you feel about yourself. Find out that you might learn something about yourself by having had that experience. Yes.
The heaviness that I think other people also have said that they feel like sometimes you can wake up in the morning and you feel so heavy, like you.
And sometimes that's the difference between the idea of physical reality and the idea of being non-physical. Physical reality can feel heavy by comparison to being in the astral form because it is a denser vibration. So the heaviness can come from that too.
So is it easier to learn in the dream world?
Depends.
Because one person was saying they would really like to be able to levitate things, and that they've been pretty successful at it in the dream world.
All right. Well, again, remember, the key to levitation in physical reality is to begin with lightening up.
I think that message was received.
There is, in many forms of art on your planet, since it comes through the imagination from the higher mind, much information that answers a lot of these questions. And as we have said previously, and especially with regard to that particular question, you have a particular film on your planet that you know as the Matrix. And in the Matrix, there is one particular line that answers that question definitively. It goes, even though the question is about levitation, to also the idea of making material objects seem to be manipulated by your mind. Spoon bending. And in that movie, the answer is clear. The only way you can do it is to understand there is no spoon. That it's just a projection of your consciousness. So the idea of an object being located on the ground, and then the idea of that object being located above the ground, is just a matter of understanding there is no object. And therefore the idea of whether it's here, or there, or here, or there, or disappears from there and reappears there, or floats above the ground, is all about understanding that you are creating the concept of physical space and time. And that it's all about resonance, and that there's a different resonance here than there is here. So when you begin to understand that you're just changing the frequency of something to exist in a different frame of reference within a projection of consciousness that you're creating anyway, that isn't real unto itself, then levitation will be something that's normal and natural. Because you're just redefining its location in space and time.
Is your ability to be able to, say, jump from reality to reality in such a drastic way that would be dependent on relevance in terms of the theme you're exploring?
Of course, it's always dependent upon whether that experience is relevant for you.
So that's why we're not all just popping in and out.
Well, you are popping in and out, but that's why not all of you have to realize it to the same degree.
Right.
Because yes, it has to do with relevance. Some things like that may sound exciting, but they simply may not be relevant for your life theme, at least not at this point. If they are relevant, and you are being yourself as best as you can be, then nothing will stop you from having the experience, because things will naturally unfold in that direction. They will take you there. Remember, your current knows where you need to go. So if you just live your life and follow your passion to the best you can, following the formula, then if the idea of levitating something is relevant for you, nothing will stop it from happening. The only thing that stops appointments you've made and agreements you've made is spending your time and energy worrying that the appointments and the agreements won't happen. So don't do that.
So when a person has a desire to do something that's well outside of what most human beings will do in this reality.
Again, it goes back to the idea of why does your passion come in that form? Never assume that the idea of the form it comes in has to come to fruition to give you the lesson you need. If it is going to come in that form, it will come. But never insist that it must. Otherwise, you're missing the point of why it came to you, because it may have come to you in that form for a completely different reason. Going back full circle, even to the idea that suddenly being excited about levitating or levitating something may simply be synchronicity's way of actually telling you to lighten up. And it may be no more mysterious than that.
So it really is. It's so much about reading the messages that are sent to you by yourself and being able to respond to them in a way that shows you comprehend what's being given to you.
And one of the easiest ways to do that is to let go of the idea that you know what it is the outcome should be. Let go of the ego's wants and open your arms to what you need. What you need will always come and will always fulfill you if you let it. It will always fulfill you. Always. So, does that help?
Yes. And then a person they've been talking about having dreams with you.
Yes.
So
sometimes it will be their own higher mind taking on the form of us because they're familiar with us, and it makes it easier for them to have a conversation thinking that it's us. We are always happy to be used as a simulacrum. This is one of the reasons why we have these conversations, so that you get familiar with our vibration and can use this as a permission slip, so that it's more easy for you in your belief system to talk to your higher mind, thinking that you're talking to us. We're sneaky that way.
This person said, after a dream of shaking Bashar's hand last year,
yes,
I had a dream and saw rainbow DNA across the sky in my backyard next to a metallic round spaceship. What
exciting.
Does this mean?
It means you saw an energy field that was generated by a portal that you had the senses to perceive, and that you also saw a ship that was there all the time but was heretofore invisible to your senses until you upgraded them. And that the DNA symbol shows your connection to the beings on the ship.
Here's another one where someone had a dream where I was attending your upcoming event about 2020, and you came up to my seat and told me it was very important that I have an energetic release in 2020. Was that really you?
In that particular case, it was a part of us. Not all of us, but a part of us.
If we avoid dealing with trauma that happens in childhood, does that hold us back from having contact or more contact? Or the kind of contact that it ends up leading to?
It could, because what you're simply saying is you're avoiding looking at the idea of fear-based belief systems that you have bought into. So it could.
Okay. And then finally, many of us here are also artists and would love to see your sculptures on Essassani. Could you plan with some mass exposition to see your artworks, taking us, we the bald and curious ones, on a mass ride to your planet in the dream state?
Yes, that can be done, and from time to time actually has already been done with some individuals. At the same time, it can be that at some point in the years to come, representations of some of the sculptures can be, at least in some form, recreated on your planet so that you at least have an idea of what it is we're creating on ours.
Sounds wonderful.
Yes. Anything else?
So,
because it's about time for your break and your holotope experience.
Okay.
So, at this time, enjoy a short break. We will resume this transmission to crystallize in the idea of your ability to more consciously visit the dream world with your holotope experience as the transmission continues.
Is there a device in nature that has recorded human history? And will it simply download information into the user's brain or set up a carefully curated images and videos to help elucidate some ideas? And is there such a device?
Quartz crystals that have been exposed to various cultures throughout human history can absorb and record information that can be extracted and downloaded by those sensitive enough to calibrate their own vibration in alignment with the vibration of that crystal's information. This is a permission slip that exists within you because the earth itself, in a sense, is a giant recording crystal of all human history.
And will it be quick, or will it take years to understand even a small event in history, depending on, how abundant the images are?
Well, that depends on the person and their capability and the need for them to know certain things now or later. You have to take it on an individual basis.
Is that phenomenon similar to what Darryl experiences when he, in a sense, downloads information, say, from you, and then it takes time for it to unspool in his consciousness?
Yes, it is similar. Because all information is available now, but you will only receive what is relevant for you. And you'll receive it in the way that, again, is determined by the process you believe is necessary for you to get every moment, every morsel, every ounce of enrichment that you believe is necessary for you to experience the fullness of physical reality. So you must trust the timing of how it unfolds.
And you say that our consciousness creates our reality, and all the tools and techniques for things like healing are permission slips.
Yes.
In that case, why in our drug trials can we measure efficacy above and beyond a baseline placebo effect?
Because you believe that they have greater efficacy. It's still about your belief system. Even though the placebo is enough to circumvent someone's belief system because they believe it can, because they believe it's something else, that's why you're seeing the real efficacy in the actual materials, is because collectively you believe that, at least for most people, it is more efficacious.
Thank you.
Remember, even though your conscious mind may not know what you're being given, part of you does.
And a lot of it has to do then with our tie-in to the collective consciousness, our belief in physics as they exist on this planet,
Yes.
etc.
Yes, yes, yes.
And can you clarify the difference between when you say you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of first, and just because you can neutrally observe a reality you don't prefer, that doesn't mean that you are in or affected by that reality unless you choose to match it?
Yes. This may seem to be a contradiction, but it's not. You have to again look to the definition. You are perceiving other realities, other vibrations that are not completely vibrationally compatible with you, but you are still in alignment with the idea collectively that you'll be able to see differences and different vibrations for a while.
So there's a larger overarching definition that says you are vibrationally compatible with seeing differences, even ones that are not vibrationally compatible with you. So you have to look to the different levels of the collective agreement about what is possible for you to align with, but you can observe those things from a neutral position if you wish. It's still included in the overall vibration of allowing you to perceive vibrations and choices that are not compatible with what you prefer on a larger scale.
So, for example, now with the war happening and us seeing images and information on television, videos, etc.
Yes.
And recognizing that that is actually happening, but attempting to apply the glass wall, I guess, idea to the circumstance without at the same time being in denial of what is happening.
Yes, it's a balancing act, and it gives you the opportunity, again, to be a living example of what others may choose if they so desire. This is also another example of what we have talked about before, about saying that just because you attract something into your reality and can observe it doesn't mean it's a one-to-one reflection. Some individuals may have more issues than others, and even though they may attract themselves into your reality and you attract them into your reality yourself as well, the idea is not necessarily absolutely a one-to-one reflection of whatever it is that the issues are they're facing, as opposed to why you are experiencing their existence in your reality too. You can have a representation of things in your reality that isn't necessarily reflective of the fact that you have the same issues that you're observing, but you're willing to observe them for a variety of reasons. So your vibration is equal to that, and therefore you are equal to the vibration of observing these things, but that doesn't mean they're all your issues, literally.
What about the individuals that are actually experiencing it in their reality? How do they apply the idea of the glass wall? Or does that mean that it is their reality? I mean, obviously, it's very real for them.
Well, yes, but it's also slightly different, because they're not necessarily seeing the same reality as the ones who are in, shall we say, invading. They're seeing a slightly different reality, even though they are willing to participate in some degree on a higher level to the idea of the experience. What they perceive to be the idea of the outcome can be very different, and therefore that's a different reality.
So is there some advice for individuals that are experiencing extreme stress, extreme distress, and how to navigate such a, Earth appears to be an extremely challenging place to be.
It is.
When we
recognize
this whole scenario.
But again, that's the whole point of why you chose to be where you are, to function as living examples for other choices that can be made, and to choose what you do and don't prefer to have in what you call your futures, by shifting to different versions of Earth that contain different experiences that are more reflective of what you prefer. But sometimes you choose to go through a process to demonstrate the ability to choose something else. And you rely also upon the others in the reality that you are sharing them with to also provide other ideas, other pathways, other solutions, other choices. Remember, this is a collective agreement. On that level, even though individuals may be experiencing different things, you still have the collective ability to all share new ideas about how things can shift and work out and go down different avenues and paths. And again, all of this navigates you to the different versions of Earth that remain vibrationally compatible with the vibrations you're giving off, so that everyone gets an example. Everyone gets a lesson of different things they could choose based on the consequences of the choices they are making.
And we have seen with human beings that in times of great, horror, I guess, as what we're seeing, that the human spirit and the ability to surmount these kinds of things and do amazing things in response to great terror is part of what we've been endowed with as our capabilities.
Look to the positive things that have happened because of the situation you're calling negative. That's the key. Look to what this is causing others to do that can be considered a unification, a bonding, a positive experience. So many may choose to attract upon themselves situations that appear horrific in order to actually demonstrate that they are strong enough to do so, to give others the time to bond together in more positive ways that is important for the entire world.
Because our history on Earth has been filled with war forever.
No, not forever. Only the history you're aware of.
Okay, so only the history that we're aware of, we're able to see this amazing amount of war that has consistently gone on through the ages here. And so is this part of our transformation into society that will no longer choose that as an expression?
What do you think?
I do believe that, yes.
Then that's the earth you will wind up on. So but you still have to act as an example of what the behaviors are that are representative of that particular world in order to navigate yourself to that version of Earth. But you're using what is going on in this version to navigate to a different version and be a living example of how others can do so as well.
So it's important to feel a lot of gratitude to every person that is going through this, and also to recognize that by taking action in a direction that's supportive of the individuals that do not want war in some form or fashion, and contributing to the overall transformation of our planet, that this is the way that we can navigate this particular period in our history.
Yes, it's just that you've been used to creating extreme situations before you will allow yourself to wake up and change. This is no exception. And remember what we've said about the rubber band effect. The extreme situations you're creating are representative of pulling the rubber band very, very far back into darkness, into negativity. And again, you can use the pressure of that pullback in its extreme form to finally snap forward when you really let all of that go much farther and faster into the light.
Because in a way, it does seem like the people of the planet are recognizing that they don't want war anymore.
Yes.
More and more.
Yes, but they have to actually make choices that are really indicative of that. And not just give it lip service, as you humans say.
What happens when someone has completely fulfilled their soul contracts and completed their area and themes of exploration? At that point, does the soul just choose a new theme of exploration?
Yes.
And some people come to Earth and they want to experience a very earthly kind of experience and very physical experience, and while others choose to explore the universe and the spirit realms. Is there any preference for souls to decide what they want to experience, or what is that based on? Why are some people choosing one thing and others the other?
Why do you choose what you do, and why do others choose what they do? It's personal preference. It's what you believe you need for your own growth, for your own experience. There's no other outside preference that determines this. It's always up to you to determine what it is you believe you need next.
Okay. And you've said that angels are the first reflection of all that is. Does that mean on a very high level that we as individuals contain the consciousness of the angels?
Yes, and you are contained in the consciousness of angels.
And one person was asking about interacting with all that is, like, do we have a different experience of all that is than the Essassani beings do? And same thing for angels. Do they have a completely different perspective of all that is than we do?
I would think that would be relatively self-evident. Of course they do, because they're on a different level and see things in different ways.
So how about for your society, the way that you experience all that is versus us as humans at our level?
Well, as we said, Our daily experience is as if walking through different dimensions, as if dreaming while awake. We experience multiple realities simultaneously and can keep it all in order because that's the way we function at this particular point in our evolutionary space. So it's similar to the idea of recognizing that there may be different levels or representations or collectives that exist that might represent oversouls and angels and what have you. And we interact with them according to the synchronism in our society that determines when and where it's appropriate to do so. But we still experience most everything as a kind of dreamlike collective that allows us to extract whatever information we require at that moment as individuals from the collective that we're interacting with.
And this person here is saying that I'm amazed by you as quasi-physical beings being able to keep a balance between the conscious energy state and a persona state. So by following your teachings, I had an experience that is beyond the best thing my mind could ever imagine. And I'm curious, how do you balance the two states so well? Once I'm in a state of love, it is very challenging for me to use the perspective of my ego. Does this make sense to you?
Yes. Well, the simple answer is practice, like anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Our civilization at this point in its evolutionary path has been doing it for so long that it's actually more of a challenge for us to not do that, to not be in that state of balance. We actually have to really try hard to get out of balance at this point because there's a momentum, there's an inertia to the idea of something you do over and over and over again. But don't necessarily judge the ego itself as negative. You can maintain the idea of a persona, which is all the ego is, keeping you focused in physical reality, and still experience the great connections and balance of unconditional love of all that is through the interpretation that is appropriate for physical reality. So it's not about getting rid of the ego, it's about allowing the ego to simply act as a conduit in the way that's appropriate for the physical ego to do so, to experience unconditional love and connection of everything in life, in physical terms.
And this person is saying, I love ETs like crazy. I talk about ETs all day. It's my total passion. I feel my heart is expanded a lot and I feel such deep love. Why do I love ETs? What's going on?
Well, again, you recognize the connection to other selves, other parallel realities that your greater consciousness is connected to. It's also an expression of self-love that you're willing to open up to more of yourself in that way. And more of your total self will contain the idea of extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional expressions of consciousness, just as it contains expressions of spirit as well. So you're just connecting to more of yourself and falling in love with yourself in different ways.
Okay. And this person was saying, you've mentioned that diseases are caused by distorted beliefs. I don't think you used the word distorted, but that's the one they use.
Fear-based, negative, yes.
And they're saying that when they were 3 years old, they got tuberculosis and they almost died.
Yes.
What beliefs could I have had at that time that would give me such a disease? Was it infectious, like tuberculosis, something that I wanted to experience, or is it just a disease?
Well, first and foremost, this is a multi-layered question. Remember that souls can actually come into physical reality with a theme of exploration already at hand. That can represent the idea or stand in for the concept of having beliefs that will cause certain things to happen so that they can fulfill the theme of their exploration. Even a child, even at birth, will start to absorb whatever beliefs are in that society that will serve them in creating that theme, that experience that they have decided to explore, not only for their own purposes, but perhaps even for other people's purposes around them. Sometimes souls will choose to experience a disease at a young age, not just because of what it might do for their own experience as a soul, but what it might actually cause other people to choose to do that are surrounding that particular child that has the disease. In other words, what are you and others learning they otherwise wouldn't have learned if the child didn't have the disease? So there can be many reasons for this. It's not necessarily about the idea of the child having enough experience to have chosen or absorbed those beliefs through the idea of living, but just absorbing them telepathically for the idea of constructing whatever experience they need to construct in order to play out the theme that they chose to assist themselves and others.
And does the replacement of a damaged human body organ with machine parts mean spiritual degeneration? And will human beings take the road of being half human and half machine in the future?
It does not deteriorate the spirit. Again, as long as consciousness has an appropriate vehicle to express itself through in its fullness of being, there is no idea of degeneration. The idea of being human doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot have what you would call artificial machine parts. It's all about the collective whole of what expression is capable, coming through the idea of an organic or a synthetic particular construct. So it's really all about the ability of those parts still allowing for the fullest expression of the consciousness that would be there even if the being was wholly organic. Remember, even organics are a different form of construction, a different form of machine. The materials are not so much the issue as it is what the materials are capable of allowing the consciousness to express. You can have a fully synthetic being that expresses full consciousness. Is that being human? It depends on what you refer to as human. But is it a full expression of consciousness like any other conscious being? Yes, it can be. And therefore it may be irrelevant as to whether it's technically human or not.
Okay, and can you help us understand a little more about the idea of eating meat and plants on this planet, and whether or not the negative effects that are caused by eating meat on our environment indicates that in order to be a more evolved being, you need to give that up, or is it actually necessary for us at this stage in development?
Again, a very generalized question, still based on the idea that it's important to look at every individual and what they truly need. Some individuals may still require the absorption of meat protein. Many may not. And yes, in general, it's usually representative of a higher vibration to eat things that, in your terms, are less dense or created through more negative means, which can create a more negative vibration in those substances. But again, if you allow yourself to go back to a more natural way of absorbing the meat protein in terms of how the meat protein is collected, how the respect is given, how the exchange happens in a more natural, original, organic way, then individuals that may require meat protein can absorb it without the idea of the negative concept behind how it was raised or how it was caught or how it was killed. But again, yes, in general, humans are evolving to the point where you may find simply no desire and no need anymore to absorb more dense substances and can subsist quite readily on some of the less dense substances. And even the idea of meat protein is still more about the plants, because really you're getting what you need from the plants that the animal ate, more than you are from the meat itself, which is really functioning more as a carrier for the substances that they ate that are passed on to you when you consume them.
So the fact that in our society now, we're starting to be able to do things like grow meat in laboratories so that we don't have to kill animals in order to eat that. And taking that along with the idea that isn't one of the attractions of coming to Earth and having this very physical experience, part of the attraction of being here, the dining experience, so to speak, seems to be very attractive to perhaps be But are beings in spirit, can they also experience eating and dining and doing all
They
that?
can, but most of them simply find it unnecessary. If they wish to have an experience, they can create it instantaneously. But the idea is it's not quite the same as physical reality. There are different levels of pleasures to it, and some may even be greater than what you experience in physical reality. But again, most usually let go of that and simply create environments that they may enjoy that are similar, but not necessarily requiring them to seem to be ingesting anything in order to experience and get out of that environment the same thing they might have gotten out of eating in restaurants when they were physically alive.
And so these...
But one moment. The idea of creating meats artificially can be a step in the direction of the evolution, but you're going to find ultimately that will probably be unnecessary. Because again, more of you may gravitate towards simply eating natural foods that are grown naturally, that are given from the earth naturally, and most of that will most likely ultimately be plant material. You will simply not need the idea of artificial meat eventually, but it can be part of a weaning process if you wish.
But isn't it, it's not really artificial meat because it is they use the cells in a
artificially constructed
meat. Okay. So, but it's a good intermediary step, yes?
It can be. It depends on the person.
Okay. All right. And lastly, there's an indication that there seems to be an intensification of the splitting prisms phenomenon.
Oh, yes.
Why is this, and how will it transform? And is this the beginning of the end of this stage, or will it just continue intensifying as we go forward?
It will intensify to a certain point, but beyond that, it will only intensify in realities that require it to intensify. The idea is that, again, as the splitting prism continues, those that will be navigating themselves toward versions of Earth that no longer require the same kind of intensity in their experience will no longer experience it, even though there may be versions where the intensity does grow and continue because it's leading down a different kind of a path. So there will be a point at which the intensity in that sense will diminish for those that go to certain versions, and it will continue to grow for those that choose other pathways.
Okay, thank you. And thank you so much for all the information and your sharing, and we really appreciate you. Thank you, Bashar.
It is our passion and our pleasure and our deepest appreciation to all of you for the power and strength that you show and demonstrate every single day in making the choices that are true for you and being a living example of the choices that others could choose, but also having the strength and wisdom to allow them to choose their path, no matter how different it may be from yours, because in the end, all come home. In this particular season, for your culture, happy Halloween. The information we are delivering today is titled Facing Your Demons, in which we are explaining the idea of the mechanics of negative energy and disconnection as you experience it relative to the idea of the entities that you refer to in your society as demons and demonic experiences. So allow us to explain how this works. As we have talked about, the idea of what you typically refer to as negative energies, which really are simply lower vibrational energies that might be discordant or out of alignment with the flow of unconditional love. Even though everything is made from unconditional love, there can be a counterpoint to this vibrational energy that would seem to be out of phase with it in terms of your experience of that energy. It's similar to the idea of either filtering your energy through positive belief systems, which create the idea of love and joy, or filtering your belief systems through negative ideas, which create the idea of fear. So let us dive deeper into the idea of how filtering your energy through belief systems that are aligned with the vibration of fear bring about certain experiences in your civilization, in your culture, that you have referred to as demonic. Now, the idea, as expressed by some people, is that there can be such a thing as negative entities that have attached themselves to you. This, of course, is just an experience and just a perspective. There really is no such thing as entities that can attach themselves to you in the way that most people on your planet mean this. It is an outdated and old-fashioned way of interpreting the idea of your own energy shifting in to negative vibrations and fear-based vibrations. Because you have to remember, the idea of negative energy, fear-based energy, is one that creates an experience of disconnection from source. Not that you can be disconnected from source, but it creates an experience of disconnection. Therefore, by creating that experience as if you are now disconnected from source, that immediately creates the apparition or appearance or illusion of something being separated from you, distant from you, as if an entity existed in that vibrational energy apart from you. And yet underlying in your unconscious mind, you know that there is still a connection. So when you filter your energy through certain belief systems, knowing the polarity unconsciously that there is still a connection that has to do with you and your energy, and yet you have created this vibration of separation as if you are dealing with a different entity, a separate entity, rather than dealing with your own energy. You combine those two ideas into the notion that this negative entity has attached itself to you, which is just an old-fashioned way of saying that you recognize simultaneously that this has to do with filtering your energy through negative belief systems, fear-based belief systems, and yet it creates a separation, a disconnection experience that makes it seem as if this entity exists outside of you. And yet, because of the innate understanding that there's a connection, you then express it as if this entity has attached itself to you. Now, on a grander scale, with the idea of demons in general and demonic entities in general, this is simply a larger scale of this idea. Demons don't exist in their own right. They're not independent entities in the same way that you might think of another being, such as another human or an extraterrestrial or a spirit in that sense. Yes, we understand that there can be negative entities in existence. But in terms of the idea of what you on Earth experience as demonic presences, is not that kind of an experience, is not that kind of an expression. We have talked before about the idea that your collective consciousness creates archetypal entities, manifestations that are representative of certain large group ideas in your collective consciousness that can actually manifest and appear to you as if they are independent entities, what are simply representative of archetypal sections of your collective consciousness that represent different features of humanity. Well, there is a negative and polarized side to that as well. So the idea that you call demons are simply the negative side of the archetypal spectrum that you contain within your collective consciousness. So in other words, when you have certain belief systems that are based on these low vibrations, negative vibrations, fear-based vibrations, and it creates this disconnection and illusion of separation, you project that idea into the polarized side of the archetypal collective consciousness and call that, instead of angelic, demonic. So the idea is that demons are simply a projection from a collective level, a manifestation, an embodiment temporarily of what represents that fear-based collective belief rather than the individual belief. So the idea is that while each and every one of you as individuals may add to this because you are experiencing the concept of these polarities with yourself individually, you also add to the idea of the collective on the negative archetypal side that allows you to experience manifestations, projections, apparitions, appearances of these demonic entities as reflections of the negative side of the collective consciousness of humanity. So the demons are simply made out of your own collective energy. They exist temporarily as representations of what kind of negative collective archetypal energy you may be dealing with within your own belief system. And they can appear to be independent entities, separate from yourself, disconnected from yourself, because once again, negative energy creates the idea and the illusion of separation. So they appear to be something that is not necessarily being projected from you. That's how they appear. But again, you have to understand that what you call demons are simply a reflection on an archetypal level of the collective consciousness that is negative of your entire humanity. So this is why even when in olden times people made lists of all the demons and their qualities, as you can find in some of your old texts and old scriptures and the translations thereof, if you pay attention, you will realize that a lot of the qualities assigned to different demons are simply different negative attributes of humanity. So when you talk about the idea of a demon that is associated with greed, you will understand that's just a reflection of the negative side of belief systems that can create greed in a human being. So when you have the idea of some other feature that is negative associated to a demon, then the idea is that you're seeing a reflection on a collective archetypal level of something that does have the ability to manifest, let's say, formed from the clay of the collective consciousness and projected outside yourself and experienced as if it is truly an independent entity with its own consciousness, even though it's not, but it's depicted that way so that you can understand it as a reflection, because that's the result of negative energy, that sense of separation. And yet again, because of the connection unconsciously, then you feel an attack from this demon because it is connected to you, because you're going through the idea of your negative belief systems and projecting it outside yourself as the representation of this demonic entity. So the idea in your ancient scriptures of the so-called demons being representative of fallen angels is simply another way of saying that you as a spirit entity chose to densify yourself, to focus yourself down into physical materiality. And because of the nature of the polarity in the way it's expressed and experienced in physical reality, you experience this idea of dealing with the negative side, the polarized side of the archetypal collective consciousness that is created when you all agreed to experience together the idea of a physical reality. And you experience not only the positive side of the archetypal energy, but the negative side of it as well, projected seemingly outside yourself because of that separation that happens, that illusion of separation that happens when you deal with the idea of fear-based beliefs and see them projected outside yourself, when in fact, it's just a reflection of something you're dealing with inside yourself, which is why instinctively humanity understands this and has said and used the phrase to face your own demons, because that is literally the truth of what you're doing anytime you may have an experience with what appears to be a separate entity that you would refer to as demonic. You are facing your own demons, projected out of your consciousness formed out of the clay of the collective consciousness and reflected back to you, so that you have something separate from yourself that appears to be separate from yourself to deal with in that sense. But you have to understand it's nothing but a manifestation of your own fear-based beliefs, your own negative beliefs, but from a collective level. And so it seems like it has nothing to do with you, when it has everything to do with the belief systems that you're facing. So it is about facing your own demons. And therefore, that's why things like possession and negative entity attachment are all illusions that simply are outdated ways of expressing the manifestation of changing your own energy's vibration to something that is fear-based, negative-based, a lower frequency that allows you to experience these things as if they were happening outside of you and attacking you. But it's all happening within you. It's all a manifestation of the archetypal level that is negative in the collective consciousness of humanity. So when you face your inner demons, you are experiencing the idea of facing the so-called outer demons, which don't exist in their own right. It's just a projection of you being willing to face your inner demons and transform that and overcome that by allowing yourselves to transition your energy to, as you say in your language, the better angels of your nature. So this is all a gigantic polarity play. And the idea of dealing with that side of your own belief system, facing those demons within yourself and transforming them, is what the idea of Halloween is all about. And why you understand that it is in that time and in that season that you come to grips with the things that you fear and allow yourself to transform them into a larger understanding, a more positive understanding of your own self-empowerment and how powerful you are to be able to manifest, either individually or collectively, something that appears to be outside of yourself as a mirror reflection of the issues that you're facing within. It's all about the idea of understanding that you create your physical reality, including the idea of those old-fashioned demonic experiences that all just come from your investigation of your own inner demons. In other words, your negative and fear-based beliefs. They don't exist on their own outside of your collective consciousness. We thank you for allowing us to share this Halloween message with you this day of your time. We know that you also enjoy playing with the idea of your fear, and that is a positive way to deal with the idea. You just have to remember and recognize that it all comes from you, and you will be able to transform it, no matter how powerful, no matter how scary, no matter how demonic and terrifying it may be. It's all just another aspect of your individual or collective consciousness that you have agreed to experience here in the earth cycle, in the physical polarity that exists in the way it is expressed in this dimension. So you have the power to transform this. As powerful as any projected demon may seem, that's an indication of the power level you have in the capability you have to transform that energy into something positive by being willing to examine, investigate, and explore your negative and fear-based beliefs and let them go, to give them up, to break through, to open up. Remember that the universe operates on only two principles, love and fear. That's it. And you have the great experience in physical terms of experiencing that passion play played out in very convincing terms, in very tactile terms, in very physical terms, but it's all still just a projection. So fear not the idea that these entities exist apart from you and have designs upon you, for it is only a reflection of your own designs upon yourself.